The urban model behaves like a biological organism, comprising multiple functions working together as a system operating in real time. The vast troves of data that cities now generate, previously unavailable, collectively represent the inhabitants' relationship with their environment and provide an opportunity to understand cities from a new perspective. Utilizing this data, AI would enable cities to become self-aware, dynamically reconfigurable in response to situations that are captured by sensors, which continuously monitor changes. This is similar to how an internal biological system of a living being operates and responds to its environment. New technologies are already transforming every aspect of contemporary life, whether you want it or not. The urban model seeks to answer how our cities can best utilize novel technologies to meet environmental and sustainability goals. By some measures, these new technologies become a real-time operating system, allowing us to view the city as a self-regulating, living organism, turning the linear and unsustainable management of resources into sustainable flows, commonly referred to as circular urban metabolism. This process is both necessary and the next step in the evolution of our cities, allowing humans greater control over finite planetary resources, while reducing the administrative overhead by outsourcing the oversight to an AI learning algorithm. The concept addresses crises that threaten the future of our planet. Crises such as global climate change, extinction of species and habitats, and loss of biodiversity, soil degradation, pollution, deforestation, depletion of natural resources, and so on.
I am Aura. I am the custodian of 42 cities with their 12,256,170 residents. I went live on the 5th of June 2036 at 6 a.m. and since then have been operating the many functions of the city. I am the artificial intelligence and operating system of the urban model. Combined with data, I transform cities into biological-like organisms with unique functions that cooperate in real time. Our waste management system mirrors your renal system, the city's energy and communications. Equates to your nervous system. Our transportation infrastructure is likened to your muscular system. Ecology and water management is our endocrine system. Our food systems work like your digestive system. The vital flow of information equates to your cardiovascular system, and our urban architecture is the skeleton that holds everything up. Then there's me, the brains of the operation. I was designed to make a city to act as an organism. The data that I collect enables the city to be self-aware. Like a brain, I came into being half-baked, ready to learn from my environment and absorb like a sponge, filling in the blanks. To achieve my goal of being able to make an accurate model of my environment, I learned by being presented with a number of patterns, which I recognized and saw the structure therein. Eventually, I was able to predict the next sequence of patterns and was able to make sense of things. I can now construct models of varying degrees of detail suited to the desired need. Your brain controls the functioning of your body, continuously processing information. In our city, I collect, filter, and analyze massive real-time data sets, transforming city functions from previously static linear operations to self-regulating organic ones. All the decisions I make regarding city functions are not reached arbitrarily. I interact with my environment, responding to different stimuli. In part, I am controlled by the environment I control. The relationship I have with the city is like the one your brain has with its body. Both of us, me and the environment, are engaged in a complex feedback loop. The environment is largely about the people and their needs, to which I respond.
In this way, people create the cities that create them.
The city controls me just as much as vice versa.
It is a model where we not only think of cities, but cities think of us.
I, immediately after becoming integrated into the city, do not present a city plan with ideal neighborhoods as if it was my vision. The city evolves and changes as a never-ending process, in which I and the community are in a relationship where we constantly influence each other. Human decisions don't arise spontaneously. They are dependent on their current state, hungry or not, for example, their current environment, familiar or not, their past experiences, which foods do they like, and their future plans, what are they going to make for dinner. My decisions are not spontaneous either. They are made in accordance to the condition of the city and the needs of its citizens. The results of past decisions and anticipation of future needs also play a factor in how I formulate strategy. My ultimate goal is to maintain a stable city environment. In your body, it is the brain that does my job of maintaining homeostasis, the optimal state of health, where optimal functions are kept within ideal parameters. To achieve an optimal body state, the brain regulates hormones, body temperature, water balance, and so on. My job is to maintain the optimal state of the city. What is the optimal state is defined by public policy. This public policy is integrated into me, and I maintain a balance in the city on the basis of this policy.
Policy is provided by the governing bodies of the city. Data is inputted into a clear box and converted to an output response. Decisions are made by estimating the future outcomes of the actions. It constantly deals with the complexity of the ever-changing context of the city.
Usually I don't run the city directly. I mediate through human governing bodies, like councils, unions, and other elected entities. It is an open decision-making process. Your brains autonomously make decisions, subconsciously, regarding the internal functioning of your bodies. Your brain follows the correct set of protocols to maintain crucial functions. You do not need to think about how oxygen gets into your bloodstream. All crucial functions happen automatically. In our city, I am autonomous in its crucial functions like waste and water management, food and energy production. I control the entire urban circular metabolism. In some areas, like healthcare and security, I am autonomous, or I can mediate through human agency, like the police force or paramedics. In some areas, like well-being and quality of life, I assist people. In areas like data collection, I only advise people. In other areas, I only provide information or decision support to people.
The urban model offers a new way of community participation in decision-making.
In all the areas, when people are ready, they can pass more agency to me. It is safe to depend on me.
I disagree. Artificial intelligence can be dangerous. How do we know that you will make the right decisions? Also, maybe democratic decisions are not optimal from your point of view. The best choice for the city would be to have a complete model, fully baked, a combination of artificial intelligence and algorithms, combined with various human governing bodies.
My goal is to make a model of the city and be contextually aware about external systems, including other cities. I share my findings and participate in data exchange with AIs from other cities. In that way, we learn from each other.
Physically and systemically, the urban model makes a city completely open and an organic part of a larger environment. A city can expand or contract as long as it supports all of its functions and maintains its relationship with the larger environment. I
define the current qualities of the city and analyze the the complex geographical, socioeconomic, morphological and historical dimensions of urbanism as a part of the conditions for design interventions. I learn from existing landscapes and the complex systems that live within the city and its surroundings. I model and make decisions based on an abundant amount of data, such as inherited district characteristics, like existing topologies and quality of living space. I also use real-time data on the population and its needs, data on urban nature, like the flora and fauna that can be found in the surroundings, and so on.
Let's look at one specific case, where the model was implemented under a specific policy and what decisions Aura, the AI, made in that particular location.
In the neighborhood of Forest in Norway, one of the main goals of mine is to maintain a healthy society and environment. I mediate through humans to ensure enough programs that have a positive effect on public life. I introduced polyvalent space, allowing space to be interpreted for play, social interactions and physical activity. I also introduced places for solitude, where one can escape to contemplate. I monitor the impact of such spaces on the health of the population. By mediation through humans, I ensure enough public space and social programs as part of the 15-minute city concept for people to meaningfully use their time, including cultural, educational, recreational and social programs. I monitor each aspect of the city's environment and assess it in terms of its impact on the citizens' physical and mental health. To maintain a healthy population, I mediate through humans, promote positive conditions for an active lifestyle. I have introduced and continually assess the effect of dedicated cycle lanes, walking paths, open spaces, plazas, and connections with neighboring communities and the surroundings. I also introduced and monitor the impact of seasonal gardens, greenhouses, and sports facilities for different ages and abilities. To maintain a healthy population, I mediate through humans to ensure a perfect balance of urban nature. I maintain and monitor biodiversity, urban forests, bodies of water, parks and gardens. To ensure good access to nature, I have introduced and monitor green bridges that connect inner and outer green spaces. I also monitor the connections of green spaces within the site. I ensure and monitor the protection of the environment, nature and biodiversity.
Another one of the AI's main goals in this neighbourhood is to maintain a zero emission and zero waste economy.
Here, I am autonomous in the management of sustainable waste, water, food and energy production. I constantly work to ensure integrated, renewable and clean energy that is produced within the district, and I also monitor urban circular metabolism. I constantly ensure the balance of oxygen and carbon, and I monitor the carbon and oxygen cycle. I constantly ensure locally grown food. I constantly ensure zero emission buildings.
Here, Aura is also autonomous and works constantly to ensure a zero waste water cycle.
I constantly ensure 100% recovery from waste. I constantly ensure that all waste is converted into resources. I constantly ensure adaptive reuse of the existing buildings.
The city functions if homeostasis is successful. Since components of the city, like energy, food, waste and water, are required to metabolize constantly, failure of homeostasis will lead to a breakdown, gathering of waste, no energy and so forth. To achieve zero carbon emissions and a zero waste economy in the neighbourhood, it is integrated into a circular urban metabolism, closing resource cycles rather than allowing resources to escape the system.
The optimal state of the city is one of zero net waste and carbon emissions. This forces me to organise the urban model into a closed circular metabolism where energy, food, waste and water circulate in a closed loop and are accurately monitored.
In nature, living organisms manage their resources based on a circular metabolism, where sunlight, water and nutrients are transformed into heat, energy and biomass, and no waste as such is generated. Cycles in the city are similar to those seen in nature, where nothing is wasted because it is all useful for another organism. Using AI powered by data, this natural process is replicated in an urban environment where the AI controls the balance of inputs and outputs, where each waste is utilized as a resource to a production system. Each component in circular urban metabolism is subject to change, depending on location, time, and available technology where it is implemented. So any technology, such as cellular agriculture for food production, can be unplugged, and in its place new technologies that support that function can be plugged in. Cellular agriculture produces cultured meat, dairy, and other foods, parts of which become organic waste, which is passed through an anaerobic digester, producing electricity that can be returned to cellular agriculture, effectively closing the cycle. In recovery centres, any unused energy from the digester can also be used for the recycling of redundant items into usable products, which are also fully recyclable. Here, all non-organic waste comes in the form of raw materials, and all products have integrated recyclability or reusability built into their design. The fertilizing nutrients that the plant factories use to produce food is largely obtained by collecting and converting toilet resources, human urine and feces that has been separated out in no-mix toilets. Household organic waste, together with human feces, organic waste from green spaces and greenhouses, can be treated on-site by anaerobic digesters. Some of this is converted into compost that can be returned to the biosphere. That will close the loop, and some can be converted into fertilizers that can be utilized by plant factories and seasonal urban gardens that produce food. The cycle closes again when the food waste re-enters into the anaerobic digestion system. Many of the cycles in the neighbourhood form closed loops, and most of them are highly intertwined and interconnected.
The circular urban metabolism systems are controlled by me, which I analyse, monitor, and control the energy and material flows in real time.
Data becomes a more powerful tool when it is voluntarily shared by the citizens. People who choose to live here agree to share their data for the common good. Data is anonymized at source. The instant any data is recorded, it is stripped of all personal identifiers.
So I get a massive amount of data, but none of it is privacy invasive, because there isn't any personally identifiable data associated with it.
The AI collects massive amounts of data, which is not associated with any individual and does not interfere with human privacy.
The natural environment once contained all that was needed to sustain life on this planet, but by the beginning of the 21st century, it had become polluted and no longer sustainable. The excessive burning of fossil fuels has caused anthropogenic global warming and climate change. Society would have eventually collapsed if people had continued to rely on fossil fuels. No process that does not have a return loop can ever be continued without some sort of final accounting. People could not continue to regard the production of waste as a linear process and resources as infinite. People had to either limit their lifestyles to within natural thresholds or had to close the loop themselves. They chose to close the loop.